good is a YouTube channel without an unboxing video? So today, we're going to have an unboxing. This video was kindly sent all the way from the United States by Aaron Sutherland. And he's made this really awesome cover with September 1977 to July 1979. And on the back you'll see there's a track listing. So he's got Escort to Danger, Captive Tower, A Matter of State, Night of the Clones, The Conkeeper, Kirkwood Haunting, Wolfpack, Curse of Rava. One of the interesting things about this tape is these were recorded from the Sci-Fi channel back in the mid-90s, and Aaron informed me before he sent it over that the tape contained interviews with people involved with the television series. So I was a little bit intrigued, and sure enough, it does contain interviews. It also contains the introductions for a lot of the episodes that aren't joined up with other episodes. So we've got the original title cards and the original credits. So it's a great source of material, great reference to material on this tape, and I'm really grateful to Aaron for sending it. It's going to be so helpful, and even the years go on, things that we could do in the absence of an official release, of course. So thanks again to Aaron. Really appreciate sending this over.
Reading Spider-Man was sort of a fun thing for me. You know, we already had the Fantastic Four, we had the Incredible Hulk, and the books were selling very well. So we said, hey, we're on a roll, let's do another superhero. But the problem with superheroes is you have to dream up a power. Now, we already had the strongest character in the world. We had a guy who could climb, who could burst into flame and fly. We had an invisible girl, somebody whose body could stretch. What was left? And while I was sitting and thinking, I noticed a fly crawling on the wall in front of me. And I looked at him and I said, gee, wouldn't it be something if you could get a hero who could stick to walls, who had the power of an insect? So I started going down a list. Mosquito Man, didn't have it. Bug Man, terrible. And then I thought Spider-Man, and somehow it sounded mysterious and it sounded dramatic. So bingo, we had Spider-Man, and we were off and running.
What else that script would lend itself to. And some of the difficulties that I think happen today in sci-fi and special effects shows is that they try to put too much in it. And it can blow you away watching all this stuff happen. He does all right. He's certainly colorful. And the important thing is he stays with the code of comic book heroes. He never kills anybody. He zaps him, he stuns him, he ties him up and leaves him to the police. He's always on the good side, but he never severely damages anybody's bones. A loaded rope inside his cuff, and when he pointed his finger, it went and just came out, and then you cut, and the other end of the rope was really a whip.
Story of a man who has supernatural powers as a result of this spider bite, and he's a very simple soul, dislikes what he has to do but does it, and he does it for the good of mankind. Thin wire all the way up to the roof. We had a harness made. So it was around his middle, so it could revolve, and up he'd go, and he'd crawl right up the thing. attitudes have changed, and they do things a little bit more what gritty than they did then. And I don't think Spider-Man ever fired a shot at anybody. He used the net, and the character, as written by Stan Lee, was sort of a naive young man. And this man is not naive. Maybe it'll be fresh.
I think the reason I made Spider-Man a teenager was I have always hated teenagers in comics because they were always sidekicks. And I knew they were in the stories because the publishers had the feeling that you want children to read the comics, and children will only relate to children, so you have to have a child in the story. And I just felt that wasn't so.
Science fiction, it's what, an early attempt at it. And as I say, when I used chroma key, that was an attempt at doing some of the things later that they can do now that they couldn't do then. And but I think it was a legitimate attempt at doing science fiction.
Spider-Man, I guess, is one of the few characters who has really grown over the years. Now, of course, he hasn't grown in relation to real time, because comic book time is different than real time. So even though we've had the Spider-Man book for about 30 years now, or maybe 31 or 2 years, he's aged maybe about 7 or 8 years in those 3 decades. But when we started, he was in high school. He then went to college, then he became a grad student. We married him off, but he's still Spider-Man. There really were a character like Spider-Man. What would his life be like in the real world? What kind of problems would confront him? That's the formula we tried to use with all our characters. Made him a guy who worries about acne, dandruff, ingrown toenails, not having enough money to do what he wants to do. He has to support his aunt. I tried to give him all the problems that a teenager would have or should have, and not just make him a guy who follows a hero around. The Fantastic Four. I could hardly just call them the Four, but the Fantastic Four. So, you know, I'm sort of an alliterative nut, and I love adjectives. I thought, because we always tried to make our characters different, and I felt having a hero, not a sidekick, but a hero who was a teenager would really be different. And of course, the fact that he crawled on walls and shot webs, that didn't hurt either.